Hey, I want to welcome you to week 4 of our series on margin. My name's Bob Pittenger, and I'll be your host today. I remember being out on the playground in elementary school, and someone would get angry and start calling the other kids names. Regardless of what they said, every school and kid had been taught how to reply by their mother. And the reply was this: "Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me." Do you remember that? It would make the name caller so angry, they will double down and come up with new names, to which we would come right back with, "Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me." Now, I would never say that my mother was ever wrong about anything, right? However, the truth is some of those words did hurt me. Some were like bruises that lasted for a few days but eventually disappeared. But others were like a deadly cancer rooted in my mind and in my heart. They stuck with me until I began to believe what people were saying about me. Most of you know what I'm talking about, right? They simply rely, the simple reply our mothers gave us was great to keep us out of silly arguments or fight. But they were not a shield to protect us from the doubts and fears of whether these verbal assaults were true. I remember reading a story about yelling in Robert Fulgrim's book, All I Need to Know I Learned in Kindergarten. It goes like this: in the Solomon Islands in the South Pacific, some villagers practice a unique form of logging. If a tree is too large to be felled with an axe, the natives will cut it down by yelling at it. Woodsmen with special powers creep up on the tree just at dawn and suddenly scream at it at the top of their lungs. They continue this for 30 days. The tree dies and then falls over. The theory is that hollering kills the spirit of the tree. According to the villagers, it always works. Oh, these poor, naive innocents. Such quaintly charming habits of the jungle, screaming at trees indeed. How primitive. Too bad they don't have advantages of modern technology and the scientific mind. Me, I yell at my wife, and I yell at the telephone and the lawnmower, and yell at the TV and the newspaper and my children. I've been known to shake my fist and yell at the sky at times. Man next door yells at his car a lot, and this summer I heard him yell at a stepladder for most of the afternoon. We modern, urban, educated folks yell at traffic and umpires and bills and banks and machines, especially machines. Machines and relatives get most of the yelling, don't they? But never trees. Don't know what good it does. Machines and things, they just sit there. Even kicking doesn't always help. As for people, well, the Solomon Islanders may have a point. Yelling at living things does tend to kill the spirit in them. Sticks and stones may break our bones, but words will break our hearts. I think Mr. Fulgrim has a good point, don't you? Words hurt. They hurt the one that spoke them as well as the recipient. The recipient has a wounded heart, mind, spirit, confidence, and peace. In a few words, they've been shredded like an old document and left to pick up the pieces. Only sometimes those little pieces become part of how they define themselves. I'm a loser. I'm lazy, a disappointment. I'm ugly, I'm fat, I'm slow, too short, too tall, too outgoing, too quiet, too bossy, and on and on and on it goes. Because someone's emotions got the best of them, another person begins living their life believing the label we've put on them. When we harshly speak our minds and our frustrations erupt like Mount Vesuvius, we leave a path of destruction like what happened to Pompeii. We tend to move on thinking everything is okay, but we never realize the damage we've done to the other person or the wound within our hearts. We may think things are better because we got everything off of our chest, but in truth, we let bitterness, mean-spiritedness, and anger grow deeper in our heart and in our minds. Developing emotional margin leads us toward a gentle disposition. You see, gentleness is illustrated by how we would handle a carton of exquisite crystal glasses. It's the recognition that the human personality is valuable and fragile and must be handled with care. Now, this doesn't mean we don't correct someone who's wrong, but that we do it in love. Paul told the Galatians, dear brothers and sisters, if another believer is overcome by some sin, you who are godly should gently and humbly help that person back into the faith. And be careful not to fall into the same temptation yourself. Share each other's burdens and in this way obey the law of Christ. Gentleness is stooping down to help someone the same way God continually stoops down to help us. You see, gentleness helps us keep our emotions in check because we consider others more important than ourselves. Now, sometimes we wound with our words. We have to wound with our words. Sometimes we have to get onto somebody. We have to straighten them out. So sometimes we wound with our words. However, we will always use encouragement and consolation to help bind those wounds. Because our emotions are built upon love, we can show gentleness, kindness, and compassion to those who are exhausting. To create emotional margin, we need to have someone in our life to share how we're feeling. This lets us express our feelings and frustrations in a way that leads to a healthy discussion with the person who's annoying us. We should be ready to let something go and just get over it. 1 Peter chapter 4, verse 8 says, most important of all, continue to show deep love for each other, for love covers a multitude of sins. Regardless of what is done on social media and talk radio, you don't always have to express everything you're feeling. Showing grace, controlling your emotions, and doing your part to be at peace with others is what Christianity in action looks like. So tonight, I pray that your discussion time will allow you to find ways of developing emotional margin through gentleness.